Why are you here? I'm here because of all the messiness with the YouTube. I had two problems. One, the last 3 or 4 times I've tried streaming, at least from this laptop, it would crash at about an hour and a half, give or take. I would get an out of memory error. Yet this laptop has the maximum allowed memory, 32 gigs, which is more than sufficient for streaming. Nothing else is running except my speech. And I made sure that my virtual memory was good. Less than half my hard drive was full because I don't use the C drive for a whole lot on this laptop. So that was one problem. Why did it keep doing it? Once it's a fluke, but more, yeah. Another thing, my webcam quit working, and it was strange. It would show, it would work on the Windows, and all permissions were given, but and YouTube would pick it up in the live stream thing. But it would when I clicked the go live button, it would just hang at the going live stage. And it's been doing this for a while. It didn't used to last year, but sometime this year it started. So what I did is I just plugged in a cheap little external webcam that I had bought originally for the desktop that didn't have a webcam. It was a band-aid solution that I came up with at the cabin, but I thought it was time to get it fixed. And so I went through all the permissions in Windows, I even asked Chat GPT, and went through all the things. I went through all the settings in Google, the permissions were all there. But then there was one little tag that GPT said about remove the permission for YouTube, which I'd actually already done, just kind of clearing out stuff. But it said that outdated tags and info could cause it to just not work for just dating reasons. So I just completely scrubbed the history with YouTube, all the permissions, so I would just reauthorize. And well, I believe we're live. So at least that, because I've just got the computer camera on, that seems to be working. I think we're live. Let me check here. And I could have made this a like a unpublished thing, but what fun's that? When I've got a issue, I don't rest well until it's kind of fixed. I'm just going through stuff here. Okay, I was popping out the chat, so it looks like at least I fixed the camera problem. Oh. Yeah, this is what I do at 5:30 in the morning. Did I mention I don't sleep well? Hey, Hunter. I used to be considered a degenerate when I was up late, drinking or other things, but pretty sure when you're just stone cold sober and wearing house shoes and pajama pants, the degeneracy part kind of goes away. Although I did have good Indian food tonight and some like pumpkin brownie things that this local store makes in October. Look, the whole pumpkin latte thing at Starbucks, but these pumpkin brownie things are the bomb. They're just missing one green ingredient. Doodle Bob. Hey, Dayways are cool. The guns, not the cars. But you know what? The Lay car makes the Daewoo car look like a Lexus. Hey, Mikey. Live free or die, eh? Hunter? Oh, Hunter, I haven't really been super into the know lately. Um, I do have some Swiss news. A hint, it's the 563. Out of set now. Uh, those things are so expensive because Switzerland was hit really hard by the tariffs, 39%. And yeah, the prices went way up. I really wanted to do, and this is one of the rare exceptions when I've actually asked to do this. But with the money, those things are like $6,300. I told JD, I was like, hey, I really want to review one. I really want to put hands on one. Normally, I would just buy one as a dealer, get it, shoot it, and then sell it as a stored ammo gun on YouTube. Not YouTube. Yeah, that'd be great. They'd love that. Facebook too. But no, on Gunbroker afterwards. But I was like, man, it's 63. I don't know if I can even make any money. I said, Dave, would you loan me one? And he'd actually already had a gun that he'd already loaned out to another much more famous YouTuber. And so I was like, hey, since it's already been shot, would you mind if I just borrowed that? He's like, no problem. So he sent that to me. So it's one of the very few times I actually asked for a T&E gun because I really wanted to show you guys, but I ain't got the money. So that should be fun. And I also have some interesting news about a certain older Swiss import that actually just became CNR eligible. But I'm gonna save that as a little surprise. But if you do some math, you might figure out what it is based on the year we're in now. Hmm. I will say it's something that we've been working on for like 3 years. Poland. There's still hopes to get over a grot. I think we'll see that, barring anything crazy, but it just takes time. Zastava, well, you know the situation there. Russia, that ain't happening anytime soon. Yeah, maybe something new out of Italy. That there might be some potential there, and I'm kind of excited to see what Steyr does. You know, the AUG A3 M1, or excuse me, M2 is out, and there might be some new movement there. Chips. Yeah, it's very strange, and that's still not the only problem. I'm gonna run inside and I'll tell you my second one. So it crashing in an hour and a half. I thought maybe it's my speech. You know, it interferes with stuff quite a bit. No, I as much as I say things about AI, and I definitely think AI has its place, but as a computer servant, like writing code for programs, it's awesome at, or proofreading your code. But anyway, I put in the things about what was going on. And I had said it, I might have even said it in the live stream last night. I thought it was a memory leak. It was behaving identical, but not a system memory leak because, like other programs running in the background, my speech, notepad, which I usually keep just to kind of copy stuff, and, things like that didn't crash. It really seemed to be a YouTube and streaming specific one. Well, turns out there's a known issue, and it's pretty specific to Google Chrome and YouTube live stream together. And it really requires both. If you use like StreamYards or if you use Firefox or Edge, which by the way I actually uninstalled from my computer. Yes, you can uninstall Edge, despite what Microsoft tells you. When you try to live stream and you do it with Chrome, YouTube, there's a known memory leak error where it doesn't clear out the memory. It just keeps building and building and building. And it doesn't eat up your entire RAM, it just eats up the allowed portion. That's why only Chrome crashed. So GPT gave a few reasonable suggestions, including like turning off hardware, visual graphics, blah, 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 dumping your cache. I went ahead and cleared out my hard drive, even freed up 20 or 30 gigs more just to make sure the virtual was good. There's no really for sure fix. But there was 3 or 4 little changes I made, and maybe I'll be able to stay on here long enough to give it a go. That said, guys, if I just disappear, that's what happens, and it does it so weirdly too, because acts like to me that it's working for 10, 15 minutes longer than it actually is. Because on my end, looks like the original stream from last night was an hour and 20 minutes. On my end, I clocked it at an hour and 32, but that last 12 minutes just never went from me to you. It was weird, but the chat stayed working. Anyway, long story short, there's a memory leak. I was right, and really the fix is use StreamYards or Firefox, which maybe I'll look into later. But I thought I've already got Chrome installed. Let me try changing a few settings and see if it fixes it. Because last year it didn't do it. It only started doing it this year, maybe very late last year. So I feel like sure there's something we can do. Hey, Eltejan. My breakfast today is going to be eggs Benedict. I ate eggs Benedict. Sierra, hey. Yep, because I can't has a lot. That's about how my sleep schedule is. People act like, oh, you need to be in bed by 10 and up by 5. Yeah, fuck that. I'm my own boss. I'm old enough. I can do what I want. I get enough sleep. I just tend to sleep at weird times because honestly, from like 7 a.m. till noon, I have nothing to do. No one's calling in buying guns. People used to call in to have to pay with credit cards, but they don't. That all gets paid through Gunbroker now. So people don't usually start doing gun stuff, and there's not much YouTube. Yeah, so I just kind of sleep when I have the time. My wife used to work nights, and she's still on night shift. When I go to the cabin, I tend to actually get up earlier and go to bed earlier, but when I'm at the cabin and she's here, she does the opposite. She'll email me at like 5 in the morning still up. Cacho, posting type 6 in the Atlantic Journal. Clue me in. Maybe I'm already tireder than I thought I was. Although I did have some coffee a couple hours ago. Ex Trooper. I guess I'm always up early too. Although when I was kind of feeling sick last week, I was going to bed about 12 or 1. Kind of understandable. And when I am at the cabin, Colton, the young man down the street that helps me, he's a morning person. He gets up at 5 or 6, so I usually try to be ready by 10 a.m. to not take his whole day up. Okay, the 68. You mean the quote Asian contract? Yeah, you're right. I've been thinking about bringing that one back out. That is a keeper of mine. I didn't expect to want to, but man, it was just so neat. And supporter ended up just giving me a bayonet. At first, we were going to do some trading, and after a bit, he was really cool and said, "You've given me all this stuff. I'll just give you that." I was like, "Man, I don't mind paying you." But no, he was really cool. And someone else had given me some mags. I think I mentioned that in the video, and I found a good sling for it. So, that's my excuse for keeping it. Is I ended up with all the accessories. So why not? Leadhead. You know, my first race would be my last one. That's for dang sure. Chips. Cats are good. Peanut, I think she senses. I've been still working with this outside kitten that showed up. She's feral but hungry, and I've got her to eat out of my hand. And once or twice she jumped up on the swing with me, but once I tried picking her up, and she didn't hurt me, but she made it very clearly known that she was not for the being picked up. So just a couple hours ago, I was giving her breakfast, and she let me pet her. It's kind of funny. She'll eat and let me pet her, but she kind of goes, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa." It's like she has to make it known that she's making a trade, but she's getting there. Hoping I found her when she's still young enough that she won't just be feral. Because I've brought them back from the brink before. But with winter coming on and with all the big dogs in the neighborhood, I'm kind of afraid for her. They've killed other neighborhood cats, and she's staying near my porch. In fact, she's probably not very far from me now, but I don't have food out, so I'm not interesting at the moment. But yeah, Peanut, I think, feels a disturbance in the force because she's been extra cuddly with me. Yes, I am live. I am alive. I hope I am live. So maybe we fixed the camera problem. That makes it a lot easier on me not having to have an external camera plugged in. We'll see if the memory leak is resolved. The tactical red pill. Interesting name. Memorable. I don't sleep well either, especially when I've got projects in my mind. They'll turn over. There's been more than a few times when I've either had a video idea I want to do and I'll just get up and do it, or a problem in the back of my brain and I'll wake up with an idea and get up and do it. There's a thing that says goal. I wonder what that means. They're always adding all this new stuff. I'm just scrolling around, guys. Randy, it's almost morning owl at this point. Morning rooster. Out at the cabin, my neighbors down the street have uh, roosters, and yeah, they always let me know. Also, I have a couple of owls that roost near my bedroom window, and they kick up a hooting about midnight. Hey, Chris. Yeah, I mean, I hope I'm up. Either that or I'm on Ambien and I'm like sleep streaming. I wonder if that's ever happened. The doctor did give me some new allergy medicine after my blah last week, and she's like, it's either going to work or not work. And side effects includes irritability. It's like, oh, great. Well, we'll see how that goes. And then she said also sleepwalking. I'm like, well, that could be really interesting for me. Yeah, there's the feral cat, and then there's a larger cat that comes. I think it might be her mother because the big cat's really tolerant of the little one. The big one is obviously used to people. She'll let me pick her up. Even she showed me her ear to scratch. But that's happened to us before. There's been mama cats that have come by, like dumped their kittens on us, watched us feed them for a few days, and then skedaddled. So kind of like being married. Strelok. I think yeah, I love Eastern European handguns. That's really how I got into guns in the first place because in the late '90s, early 2000s, I could afford them and they were really great. They came with holster, spare mag, a box. But I remember when the CZ82s came out, I was super stoked. That was 2005 because of the high cap mag they came with. The one I really want to see is the Hungarian Tokarev. Stupid me, I've had two of them. One was a little rough. It was a non-bringback. One was perfect. Holster, two mags. I really wish I could have kept it. This was a long time ago, guys, like 15 years. But look, someone offered me 2 grand for it. that was at a time when even Russian talks were just bringing a couple of hundred. Like that paid my bills for over a month. So I don't regret it. Needs must, you know. But if they were in the short list of guns that I wish I could not have sold, that Hungarian talk was one. But my hope, even then and today, is they made a lot of them. One day they just might show up. That's it. If any of you guys know where there's a decent one, shoot me an email. I think one of the coolest ones we got in recent years were those Chinese Tokarevs because they put the dingus safety on them. They import marked them very subtly. That one really excited me. I kept one of those. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Chris, was the H&Rs, maybe the DOE, their A1. Um, I did actually have one of their M16A2 commando-ish style guns in the store. I didn't really do a video on it just because it wasn't much to say. It wasn't a bad gun. I liked that it was an A2 upper. They put a Car 15 Fiberlight style stock. They actually used the skinny 6-hole handguards. They even pin and welded a 14.7 barrel with a perm detached flash hider. So they did it right. I just, yeah, I couldn't think what to say, and then it sold, and that sometimes that does happen. Is I'll get a gun in the store and it sells before I can get a video done. Yeah, it's just how it goes. 540 here for what's worth. King Ryu, Dragon Punch. No, no, there is video. Just just a black box. What's a good Eastern pistol to grab? Whatever you like. I mean, I still think the Makarov, are they as cheap as they once were? Nah, but what is? But for 4 or 500, you'll get a gun that will last you forever. They just don't break. They're great. Bulgarian, East German, Russian, even the commercial Russians, which are the ones you're most likely going to find, they're awesome. There were some Russian sneaky guns that came in with the Bulgarians. That's about the only good way to get a military Russian. There were some Chinese Type 59s that came in, but those were ages ago. Maybe we'll see some in the future, but yeah, I really like those. Like the PA-63, it's fine. The P-64 is so just ridiculously aggressive to shoot that it's pretty cool. The P-83 from Poland is actually probably my favorite single stacker. Russian Makarov at 25 fucking $100. No way. Tell me it's at least a military one, right? Not a commercial. Chris, did I decide to keep the Schofield? Yeah, the 45 one. As I said in that video, I had. Well, wait, I didn't put that video out yet. Never mind. I've recorded quite a bit. I actually had to do a little bit of light work to it. Turns out it'd been in warehouse for a while, and some of the grease had hardened in the thing, so it was not always rotating fully. So I fixed it. Wasn't a big deal. But I was like, well, I've already taken it apart. I wouldn't want to sell someone a used gun, right? So I better just keep. I think it looks freaking awesome. I think the Schofield is one of the coolest looking cowboy guns, frankly. That and the 1860. That one looks awesome too. At least it's a military. Here's the thing: when those came in, they were priced the same as Bulgarian Max. Man, unless you just gotta have Russian, the only difference in a Russian and a Bulgarian are just the markings, and even then, some of your Bulgarians have Russian parts. So unless again, you just gotta have one. Just get a Bulgarian for like 500, or even less. East Germans are nice, but I think they're kind of up there these days too. Yeah, John, that's too rich for me too. Um, when I got my Russian, I did pay a little more for it because it was already sorted out of the Bulgarians, but even then, I think I paid like five at a time when Bulgarians are going for like 250 or three. So a little bit of a premium, and I was cool with that. Plus, it was kind of hand selected, and I like it. But if it helps me feel better, I actually got one of the double stack commercials for 150 with two mags. So I figure between the two of them, they even out pretty good. Linchpin Supply. Oh, I don't do transfers because I'm blind. I just don't want to touch 4473s. I told the ATF on the last inspection is like, hey, can you just order me not to ever do 4473s? And the agent's like, what? Well, he got it. It's like, well, it's like, man, I just don't want to, because that's where the ATF will really put the screws to a dealer is if there's a misprint on a 44, and I can't double check them. So it just makes me super nervous. So what I've done in recent times, I used to use Benton County Gun Works where my friend Tim worked when he was up there to do local transfers, but he moved all the way out to Eureka. I just saw him on Friday. He's still around, but he's not close. I use CNS, Tim and Rachel. They do local transfers for me if someone has something, but I'm not really set up to show people around. It's something my wife, I used to, but my wife just, she kept worrying someone was gonna come in and like knock me out and rob us. So I just don't anymore. It's just one of those things, and I don't have the time. Like, you wait around for people, and it's just difficult. So I don't do face to face, but if someone finds something I've got, I set up a transfer down at CNS for 'em. Sierra, I mean, maybe, but I mean, right now you can get actual Walther P1 P38s for under $600 in pretty great shape. So I don't think they could make one for less than that. That would be good. See, people really underestimate what it would take to reproduce those old guns because those guns are still made at a time when labor was relatively cheap, machinery relatively expensive. There's just there's a lot that goes into those that doesn't go into more modern guns, even like modern 1911s. I mean, it's German. It's got a ton of small parts. Hey, John. The Chinese can be pretty high polished. I've got a Russian Tokarev that was Chinese reissued that was captured at Hamburger Hill. It came in a Chinese holster with one Russian mag and one Polish mag, it looks like. But it's, authentic and it's got the wear. What's funny is it's got pretty good surface wear, but the insides and the bore were kept immaculate. So the Chinese and the Vietnamese, they knew what was important. External condition in a forested jungle area, it's going to wear, but they kept their insides clean because their life depended on it. Plus, the Chinese holster is cool because it's got that, you know, cloth lining inside or velvet or what do you call it? Suede? We'll go suede. Big slinking. It's not three here, it's like six, so you must be out west, and I am sadly very sober. Or not sadly. I don't know. You get older, drinking just does not end up fun. Sierra. Yeah, they make high powers in 1911s, but man, them Walther things. I mean, look how often Walther reworked the frame and the slide to prevent cracking. I don't know. I just with all the little small wrinky parts in a P38 P1, It might end up more expensive than you realize. And I think one reason they're able to make 1911s and high power so cheap is a lot of the parts are interchangeable and kind of cross compatible. If they tooled up to do a P38, almost every part would have to be special for it. And again, there's still very good surplus ones on the market for just a few hundred bones. If the surplus ones go up to over 1,000, then maybe replicas will be worth tooling up for. But the weather here, it's been unseasonably warm during the day. I mean, I'm out here, and 6 a.m. just in pants and t-shirt. It's fine. It's been about 60 degrees at night, 80 degrees during the day, but it's been pretty sunny. The humidity's gone down. They always say that it's gonna cool off into around 70 next week, but it's always next week. Like it never actually comes. Strelok. I don't really have an opinion on those 19. I'm not a big 1911 guy. I mean, I am interested in them. The uh, the military ones. 1911s are like a cult all their own. I think it's an outdated design. I think it's historically very cool, but I think trying to make a 1911 in the modern era for modern use is about like trying to make a Luger in the modern era for modern use. That said, when Jay was out last last weekend, we shot his staccato, and it was a lot of fun. Very nice trigger. But you know what? That is very much a race gun for competition shooting. Like that slide, it has such a light spring on it, compensated. Like that gun is very much what it is. It does not feel like a military gun. Me, myself, and I love my old rattly worn Ithaca from World War II, or my old kind of not beat up, but well loved Colt from World War One. And I still do kind of like my Colt 1911 45 A1 that I did on July. That's my one modern gun, and those three serve me well. But probably my favorite, like the sleeper gun, the Argentines. I always thought those FMAP 1911s were just great values for what they used to be on the market. Johnsky. Yeah, the Ithaca featherweight video, even though it's not got a huge number of views, honestly did better than I thought. Because when I did the last trench gun Ithaca video a year ago, it didn't. So I'm happy people liked it. It was kind of funny. That gun was traded in by my friend, who always trades stuff. And for some weird reason, I was having a hard time deciding to keep it or keep my trench gun in reproduction. And then one night I just woke up and I'm like, duh, the answer is quite obvious. And it also helps in my head that a lot of the military Ithaca 37s actually used in Vietnam were not the trench gun version, even though that's cool. They were just the 20-inch or even 18-inch right gun with or without sling mounts. And it is lighter, it is heavy, handier, and of course it does have the slam power feature, which is pretty fun to do when your hands aren't super oily and slipping off the corn cob. Yeah, I mean, stocks are out there. With the modern Ithaca, those guys are really nice. The guys in Upper Sandusky, they actually sent me Christmas cards. I haven't sold any of their guns in recent years. Nothing against them, just kind of didn't happen. But when they were kind of getting going, and I stocked them in my store, they were very pleasant to deal with on the dealer level. Yeah, they do make new M57s, but they're able to do it cheap enough, and they've already got the tooling. That's just it. It probably doesn't cost them a much. Plus, who knows how many maybe like raw forgings they have left? I don't know. I like the M57. It's a cool gun. I like the M70 and 9 mil. They do too. Linchpin. My thoughts on the M1 carbine. Hey, you must be new. I love the M1 carbine. It's probably in my top three favorite World War II guns, and I think it was a lot more forward thinking than folks give it credit for. Everyone talks about the MP44, and absolutely it has its place in history. I think in a lot of ways the M1 carbine was right there with it, and it is technically pre World War II. I mean, just barely, but it is, and led directly to the M2, and they're fun. I love shooting the M1 carbine. John, am I planning on? No, I mean, I feel like it's kind of good. I may have bought a walker, and I may have shot it and already recorded the video. Just haven't edited it yet. So I got that. I got the 1860, the Richards, the single action, the uh, the Schofield, the 1872. That open top, I like it, but I find that I like the 1860 more. Right now, I'll probably hang on to both, but I could see maybe selling the 1872 open top eventually, just because I like the 1860 a little bit better. I like the Remington 1875. It's a lot of fun. Uberti Cimarron's actually stopping the 1890. I thought about grabbing one of those, but I haven't. The other thing is, I really like my single action army artillery, my Spanish American War version. That is not going anywhere. That's like become my shooter gun. I probably already put 250 rounds through it, but I may get a 7.5 inch someday. I just don't know exactly which variant yet. That might be one I would add. But overall, I'm pretty good. I think having 5 or 6 is fun. Hey Scott, morning. Big smart armed. I mean, it was really made as a PDW. That was the original purpose, for truck drivers and I told you the story many times, but a friend's father who was a landing craft driver in World War II, that was his issue gun was a carbine, and it was perfect for that. Imagine if we still use years for handguns. I mean, we could, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, there is the 2011. People love those. Of course, that's just the thing. No, yeah, the U.S. kind of got away from the year thing right before World War II, if you think about it. Yoopity-pity-pity. I'm kind of curious how many um how many questions I thought I answered last night that y'all didn't hear. Big smart armed. Yep. Yeah, and I think it's becoming much better known in today's world that a lot of the meh said against it in Korea was all bullshit. I mean, I think Forgotten Weapons and many others have made the very accurate point that guys are like, "Oh, I definitely hit that Chinese person or that North Korean. Oh, the bullet must have not gone through his jacket. You didn't hit him. You thought you did. You didn't, or you wing beam. Like, I'm sorry, that's a very potent cartridge for what it is. People act like it's a little Mickey Mouse round. No, I mean, it's not a 30-06 round, but yeah, it's M1 carbine's got some heat behind it. I wish I could get an original M1A1 paratrooper, but trying to make sure I've been so afraid the handful of times I've been able to quote unquote an original that it would be a fake. So I've always just been happy with my inland reproduction. Yeah. It's a shame they didn't kind of go forward with the M1 carbine when making the M14 instead of the M1 Grand. Like the Grand's pretty cool, but you know, I don't know. The op-rod's a little strange on it. It's very picky on the gas system. The on-block system, I know that wasn't John Garand's idea really, that was an Army thing, but I really feel like the on-block limits the Garand. If it had detachable mags, and what's silly, they could have made it with detaching mags. And if they were still worried about the whole going prone thing, just give the soldiers a 10-shot mag or whatever that's flesh fit. And that's what the Japanese did when they made their Type 5 copy. They did do a detaching mag. It's only logical. You don't have to make it, and you could always do larger mags if and when needed. Exactly. Yeah, Sarah. Just yeah, the idea that a jacket, even a thick one, would just a bullet would just bounce off. I mean, even if it went in, you'd crack a rib, you'd do something. Yeah, they just didn't hit them. Now, I do believe that probably a lot of the M1 carbines by the time of career might be a little worn out, even if they got refurbed. So keep in mind, there were no brand new M1 carbines in Korea. They were all World War II surplus. But if you think about it, it had a good reputation in World War II. It's only Korea that kind of dogged on it. Linchpin. The M1 carbine was used in Vietnam linchpin. The Air Force used some for base guards, and the Army had some, and quite a few were given to our Asian allies over there, especially early on. Scott 79. Thank you. Yes, within 100 yards, which is practical range for even a 57 Magnum, it's about that, and everyone kind of goes about that. And yeah, it's it's a lot more potent than it gets credit for. Yep, I really love the BM59. I've had, it one time as many as four. I've sold off a couple since then. Kept my favorites as I usually do, but they're cool. And what's really cool about it is the economics that Beretta did. Like they made that gun for what the M14 was supposed to cost. Like it did not cost them much money, much time. They pretty much started making it in 57, and by 59 it was ready to go. They even were able to actually recycle M1 Grand parts. Heck, for the first several years of production, Italy used M1 Grand receivers. They didn't actually have to start making purpose-built BM59 receivers until like the late 60s, early 70s. And they were able to even redo the barrels. Like that was what the M14 should have been. I'm not saying the BM59 is perfect, but it did a really good job. And I think the Springfields we were offered were good, and my experience with like the James River guns has been surprisingly positive. Sierra, I talked to someone, Sierra, who saw those Obama restricted M1 grants who worked for an importer. He said they were in dog shit condition. I think that's one reason they didn't even pursue them too heavily. He said that they were bad. And this some guy worked for an import company that has been known to import some pretty rough guns before. Johnsky. Yeah, stay rogs are great. I can't say anything bad about it. The current ones, you should get one. There's usually some good deals in October, so check on the Steyr website. I might even have a couple extra NATO ones in the back of the store here if you wanted. But no, the current OG is absolutely as good, if not even better, than the older ones. And I don't think you can find anyone with true sincerity that'll say bad things about them. As to which one to buy that's not too pricey, I mean, most of your standard dogs are pretty affordable. 17, 1800. They're not bad for a bullpup. They're hanging right in there with the Hellion and Tavors and any other bullpups on the market. Now there are some special editions and stuff that go higher, but I'm just talking about your basic rail dog. It actually bugs me that I say AUG, I AUG, but I'm a product of the '80s, and in the '80s it was the AUG. Sierra. They run them hard. They were loaner guns, so think how they were stored. Anyway, even if they took care of them, just think how old those guns were. Wood breaks, metal rusts, and you stow things in a depot, and you're like, oh crap, the roof leaked, or there was a plumbing. Things happened over years. You're right. Uh, RT would definitely be the one to bring something like that in. Johnski. Okay, no NATO. Yeah, I feel you there. I don't actually own one, but hey, people like the NATO. I like the Steyr AUG version. I mean the mags aren't that expensive. They look so cool. They work so well. Why would you not? That's just the gun. Like that is part of its deal. And that's the reason even like when I got my 805 Bren, when those Bren mag conversion kits are on the CZ website, I immediately bought one because that to me is just what an 805 should have, is that clear G 36 mag style thing hanging out. It's just right. Not every gun should take an AR mag. It's fine if they do, but it's also perfectly fine to have specific mags. Scott, I really like the 35 or 34. The Berettas, the little ones there. 35 is the one I prefer. Though I've actually got two of them. Um, really, because one came in the store years ago, and I just could not pick between them. One of them's is a really kind of rough production late war variant. Chatter and kind of a weird green blue phosphate thing, and it's cool. The other one is a very nice, earlier polished example, and I'm like, you know what? I'm in these guns for like $200. I'll just keep both. Once in a while, I can let myself do that, but I really like those. In fact, actually had a couple of my 32 cal Berettas out a few weeks ago shooting them, and sooner or later I'll probably do a little video because it's a fun. Excuse me, hiccup. It's a fun series and didn't cost an arm and a leg. Eltelgen, yeah, 37 Magnum lever gun is a lot of fun. Lever guns are a lot of fun. It's hard to say otherwise. No. Oh, 3D printed AUG. Ew. Just look. I lived through the MSAR Microtech thing. I'm good. I'll just buy Steyr. Scott 79. Probably the last things I bought from RT were Archers and the Vepr 1Vs when they had them. For whatever reason, Royal Tiger manages to get some actually good stuff, at least in the past they have. Bam's perspective. Martin. Yeah, that's the problem. They bring them in poor, they treat them poor, and sometimes they don't price them like they're poor. Like sometimes the prices RT puts on their stuff, I'm not gonna say they're exorbitant, but for what you get, my big deal is like missing parts. When you get a gun with major missing parts, even Century would not sell those as that. Crack Shack. Oh, you're not wrong. Okay, no, to be fair, it's Florida, it's a meth shack. Maybe a meth mansion the way RT does business. Johnsky. God, nothing should take Glock mags but Glocks. Ugh. I don't like ARs that take Glock mags. Don't like AKs that take Glock mags. That single feed is just not ideal for a gun that's really meant for a double column, double feed thing. Scott 79. Yeah, you're right. PW has had some really good stuff. Remember when they had those Molot 9130 PU snipers? That was a really good deal. No, PW tends to get pretty good stuff. Big, smart armed. New steel Glock mags are okay. I mean, I guess if you really want them. Alex Lee. Message retracted. Alex Lee. Sear RS. Oh yeah, yeah. One good move that AOA Arms of America Nova made with the current NAC carbine was Scorpion mags. Uh, that is definitely a much better look, and honestly works better too. Big smart arm. Hey, the best Glock mags are like your early ones that don't drop free, don't have steel. They're so just light. They're hilarious. What Yugo would be comparable to the ZPAP M70? ZPAP M70. Why would you not? They're no more expensive than a kit build and great gun. Alex Lee. Not a honey's in it furniture. I don't really have anything to put it on, Alex. I don't really have any of the like AK-12s or AK-15 builds. I just for the money they cost, I'm just not interested, and I will never get into that. So no, I just never really got into that. It's just not really. I don't really see a whole lot of purpose in trying to make a modern tactical AK either. I mean, good grief, the design goes back to 1946 in some form, and even if you want to call the latest updates, it still goes back to the 1970s. And eh, Scott 79. The Chinese drums for an AR-15, huh? Yeah, I don't. I wonder what follower you could get to work, or even 3D print one. I don't know. I don't know a whole bunch about the Chinese commercial stuff. I'll be honest with you. And you know me, I don't hate the Chinese military AKs, but they're not like my thing either. In fact, I mentioned about kind of thinking about selling a handful of AKs just to free up room and time. And I eyed my Chinese pretty hardcore, thinking, could I sell one or two? I've got four currently. Um, the thing is, I just don't know what it'd be. I wouldn't want to sell my pig sticker, my spiker. That's like to me the iconic Chinese gun. And the underfolder, maybe, but then again, Chinese underfolders are also iconic. The side folder, the Bakelite, that would be. I think that's just a cool gun. The one that I also thought about was the Clayco, the Bakelite Stalker, but I think it's so cool that it was the first AK import outside of Valmet's at least. But maybe one day I'll top myself. I think if I sold any, it'd either be that Clayco or the underfolder. I think the side folder and the spiker are just kind of here to stay permanently forever. Armchair man, I've it's actually officially the M7 now. So I did a video. If you search this channel, you'll get my thoughts. It might make for a decent DMR. It's fucking stupid as a general issue. Now, keep in mind, the Marines, the Air Force, the Navy, they're not going with it. It's only the army, and it's not going to go anywhere. Like it is just dumb on so many levels. It again, if it might have some utility as a DMR, but that whole 6.8, I don't. The 6.8 cartridge is fucking stupid as well. It's actually the same weight or heavier than 7.62 NATO by the cartridge, much more expensive. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. It's like, well, it's got better body armor penetration. First, who are we fighting that consistently wears body armor? Second, I've never heard of a 7.62 NATO bullet that didn't punch through armor, so shut up. It's just someone at SIG, it's someone lining their pockets for that thing. So, big smart armed. Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's more than nuts. And the fact that they think they're going to make that optic and a suppressor a standard issue, can you just imagine an 18 or 19-year-old getting, they're going to wreck that shit in no time. It's one thing to give that kind of equipment to long-term professional soldiers, especially special forces that do, but, uh, and yeah, man, I like the Scar more than the XM7, the M7. Remember how the flop that was? Everyone thought the Scar was going to go places, and it went nowhere. The 5.56 Scar, literally nothing. And even the 7.62 Scar, the U.S. government bought 1,500 of them. That's it. After all that hoopla. Now they got recycled around a lot, but yeah, that was all they ever had. Cacho, this soldier, AKV. Looks like you miss it, so sorry. And on the M7 thing, I had a MCX spear, and it was reliable, and it was fun. Mine was in 7.62 308. I had no desire to stock 6.8 or what do they call it, 277 Fury. I mean, 308 expensive enough. So I did shoot it, and I did keep it for almost a year. So I hate talking out of my ass on things. A lot of people will give reviews and opinions on guns they've never even shot, much less owned. So I did own it for a while, and construction was fine. It's still just basically an AR. Just well, that's not really fair. It's pretty different, I suppose, but very much AR derived. And for what they cost, that's the big deal. Not just us as civilians, but the government was paying, or is paying, I should say, just buttloads of money for a gun that just shouldn't be that much. Scott retracted. Big smart. Yeah. Again, sadly, it is the M7 now. That I did a video when it switched from X to M because back a few months back, everyone was calling it the M7. I'm like, guys, it's still an X, but it was officially switched to M. What was it, back in May or March, whatever it was earlier this year? But it's still not doing anything. If you look like the numbers that have actually been received, and like it's just keep in mind that was officially adopted like 3 years ago now, and it's hanging. Yeah, Scott, there was a general that did that. Now, to be fair, that's not without precedent. That happens all the time. And you know what? It can be done ethically. It can, if you get a good gun for your troops. I mean, think about it. If you've got a general with real experience and he goes to work for a gun company, that can be an asset to everyone, including the troops. Can being the operative word there, not is. It just depends on the ethics and whatnot. I have a feeling that general was like one of the 90s era Clinton generals, not one of the either later ones that actually earned their stripes or stars, I should say, in Afghanistan, or one of the guys who slogged through Nam, Gulf War. There was that period there where you just had bureaucratic army before 9/11 kind of forced them to get away from that. Now, if only the British Army can follow suit and get away from their own political miasma. Alex Lee, and retracted. Hope your message wasn't like pro M7. Again, it's not a horrible rifle. I just think it has a because we do need a new DMR. We do like the whole hodgepodge of DMRs we've got and been using them for 20 years. It would not be a bad thing to have a universal DMR to issue, especially one with quick change barrels and all that good stuff that the M7 can do. But we're talking about, buying a few tens of thousands, not hundreds of thousands for the whole group. You know what's funny about you talking about upgrading from an R to a UF? There was a time, and it lasted quite a while, where the UFs were cheaper than the Rs because the UFs weren't selling. I might be kind of pulling numbers out, and of course, Arsenal numbers have changed. But if I remember right, the UFs were around 1,400, and the Rs at that time were 1,500, and I believe the SFs at that time were about 1,600. But yeah, there was a time when the UF was the cheapest out of the three. They're cool though. I don't own one currently. I've had them in the past. It just gets into the can't own everything. Otherwise, my business would fail. Oh, yeah, you're not wrong. They spent the GWAT playing Modern Warfare, or well, I was going to say flying drones, but even the Air Force has better sense than that. So yeah, we'll go with video games. I don't know. It strikes me as Sig Sauer being Sig Sauer, frankly. Chris, shoot, there's nothing that the M7 can do that an AR-15 probably can't do in 99% of situations. I mean, look at the modern loadings like M262 or even the M855A1. I mean, there's some perfectly decent 5.56 loadings out there. Yeah, well, I mean, if it helps on the 6 millimeter thing, the U.S. Navy tried it out with the Winchester 1895, the Lee Navy, way back before the Spanish-American War, and they again burned barrels out in about 5 to 6 thousand rounds, and that's what we're going to see with the M7. Is they're just gonna toast their barrels to the point of absurdity. But don't worry, we'll just issue fewer rounds to the men. Sure, that won't come back to bite us in the butt. Sticky wicket. To be fair, I wasn't streaming all night, but yeah, maybe you were. I don't know. I'm just wanting to see if it crashes on me again. Again, fair warning: if I disappear, then we figured out I didn't fix the memory leak issue. But I figured doing it early in the morning would be less problematic if it dies. Sierra. Oh yeah, I remember lusting over the underfolders too because it was during the assault weapons ban and you couldn't get them. I've shipped some underfolders over to California. Of course, they had to be heavily modified. Oh yeah. And what's funny is look at the total weight load. The whole M7 kit weighs so much more than even a decked out M4A1. You're disappearing. Is that like Back to the Future with Marty McFly when he's disappearing with the picture? Quick, Play him some Johnny Be Good. Doopy-doopy-doopy-doopy-doopy-doopy. At least the camera thing is fixed. Then watch we say that next time I boot the computer up, it's gonna not work again. But yeah, I think just removing the whole permission string for YouTube, it was just really weird. Eh. Alex Lee, yep. I've had a store longer than I've had YouTube. Oh, people always have this weird notion. I mean, sometimes I think the military, it gets to a point when they just like, we got to do something new, and they, a lot of people, oh, we got to get away from the AR. Why? It works fine. I mean, there are certainly newer guns out there, but do they do anything just a whole lot better? No. I mean, remember when every AR had to have a gas piston a few years ago? Again, they're fine. I really like my LMT, my Estonian. It's a great gun. I've been really liking that HK A4, which I was really surprised about. Oop, that was apparently the kitten. Did you get scared of something, girl? Who is that? Hmm? Something spooked her. Well, I guess we know she's out here. I made her a little box bed. Go in your box, girl. I would pick you up to soothe you, but I don't want to lose the flesh on my arms, so we'll just stick to cordially sitting next to each other. How about that? Wait, is the sun not up? I guess I just assumed it was. I'm just trying to time this sucker out and see if I can make it crash out. I'm gonna go in and grab a drink of water, and just kind of buying my time here a bit. I'll see if that issue is maybe fixed. Maybe I should just make another cup of coffee. It's a nice evening out, though. It really is. Or morning out, I guess. I remember when the ice and water in the door came along. What a great advent. Those refrigerators that have TVs in the doors? Fucking stupid, though. Or how about the ones that have a screen on the door where you can see the contents? Who would want to see, like, have your messy fridge that everyone that goes into your house could see? That sounds horrible. Definitely a water drinker. I do not like sodas. I like juices sometimes, tea, coffee, but no, not into any kind of carbonated stuff. What is it, girl? Heard your little feetses. Don't tell me you're. Did you poop? Yeah, John, that's something I try to tell the younger people. They get too wrapped up, and it's always you don't know. I think when my father died 4 years ago, that he had a good life, but you get older and you realize that, and age is no determiner. young people. Yeah. You need to spend time with people you enjoy, love, care about while you can. You really do. Because that's what you're going to regret. I forget where I heard it, but it's very true that, people are never on their deathbed and they think, oh, I wish I'd just worked a few more days. That's not, yeah. And I'm not saying work's not important, but you need to work to live, not live to work type deal. And just people. That's what matters. Everything else is secondary. That's why I always get so pissed off when people lose friends over like politics. Like there's people I agree with in politics and I don't agree. I've got quite a few liberal friends. Sometimes we disagree to disagree, but I'm not going to lose a friend or a family member just because we have that kind of a disagreement. Oh, Chris, you just jinxed it, buddy. You you just did. You know that, right? You should definitely get an LMP in Estonian. I actually got mine. Tim Military Arms Channel sent me mine years ago. I love it. I really do. It is my one modern AR. It's military, but the darn thing just runs, and it feels so solid. Like it feels like a tank of a gun, kind of a spiritual successor to a Galil, if that makes any sense. Not light though. Okay, Gatorade, Chris. I love Gatorade from the 80s when I was a kid. In fact, I used to drink the green, and then in the 90s, they introduced the best thing ever called lemon ice. I don't think they do it anymore. This is still back when they were the glass jars. But then the newer ones got too sweet to me. But my brother introduced me to the Gatorade Zero or Gatorade Sugar Free. It's still not as good as the 80s, but it's dang close. So that's what I've been drinking out at the cabin quite a bit is the sugar-free Gatorade, and I'm digging it. Yes, I own a John. Yeah, I've got a Hakeem. I've had a few of them in my life. I've also got a Rashid. I've had two or three. In fact, my Rashid right now is one that I got. I traded it off to a buddy, and then I kind of regretted it. And then a couple of years later, he brought it back over as a trade fodder, and I had to pretend like I wasn't super going to trade him back out of it, no matter what. That give him my hand. But yeah, I sold it, and it came back, and the Rashid's really cool. I need to bring that out again. It's been a good long while. The only problem with both those is like spare parts. You cannot find spare mags, sadly, but they're really neat. The AG-42. I've got my original. I found it in a gun shop 25 years ago. It'd been hanging on the wall. They had it up for $500, which yeah, by today's standards is cheap. Back then, that was twice what like an SVT-40 was, and it was just sitting there forever. So I actually traded them and a one of the Ranger made Walther PPKSs, so US PPKS, and a aftermarket. It didn't work, but it was technically pre-banned. So after the '94 assault weapons ban, that was what I traded them that Walther and that pre-banned 30 round Glock mag for the AG-42, and felt like it was a great deal, and they felt like it was a great deal too because they had no luck selling that gun. So win-win, and I really like it. Johnsky, nice. GMC Cracker Box Truck. That is a name. Marnin. Mm. Well, I think we've been going for over an hour. I don't know if we've hit the hour and a half mark yet. Have we? I'm sure there's a timer somewhere, but 34 minutes. So we're coming up on the drop point. Thank you. So if I disappear in the next 5 to 10 minutes, you'll know what happened. But we'll probably go another 15 minutes, and then I myself need to head off. Again, I was just, in fact, if no one was here, I was just gonna kind of let it run in the background. But yeah, what the hey, sitting outside. I'm pretty content when I'm on my swing and the weather's decent. I can do it for a good long while. I'm pretty simple, man. I've got a few things in my life that make me feel good, and if I have those, I'm pretty well set. You know what's really funny? The PSA love on the internet has really died down. There was a time not long ago when, man, you couldn't go anywhere without the PSA fanboys. I'm not saying they're in the doghouse now, but I think people have a much more realistic view of that company. 1312. Yeah, when I can get Peanut to do it, she's almost always in the videos when I'm inside, but she usually kind of lays at my feet. But once in a while, she decides it's kind of funny. She'll hear me in, the camera's ready, and she bounces in there. It's kind of our thing. Eric Reed, I actually addressed this last night. The Pin Dads didn't come, and they were never that close to coming. Like they didn't have approval on a semi-automatic design from the ATF that was already put through. They didn't have a structure set up or, distribute. It was a pipe dream. I think the whole thing was just to gauge interest in America, and then they were going to try to do the heavy lifting, and that's where it fell apart. Didn't they also talk about BM 59s or something too? I don't know. The SHOT Show has just become such a tease that I pay little attention. I was wanting one of those PSA DS Arms Type 48s, or sorry, T 48s too, but I haven't heard anything about them, and it's already October. I'll be honest, I don't need to be spending money on new guns right now. I'm trying to avoid it as best I can. Just I'm not even complaining. Look, I'm still hanging in there as a business. I've known so many FFLs, so many dealers that have had to close shop this year, and a lot of makers. Like 2025, I've heard some dealers say it's the worst they've ever seen it. It's bad. I don't know if it's the worst ever, but a lot of people have closed. So I'm not going to complain that my profits are down. I mean, I make enough to pay the bills. That's enough for me, and I will, get through this, and then hopefully there'll be a pickup at some point. But yeah, it's not a great time to buy things. GMC Cracker Box truck. I mean, they are importing a lot of roller guns for the last few years, but that really doesn't have any impact on the whole pin dad thing. I mean, the roller guns are because of Turkey, because they've got import approval, they've got a structure. They've been doing semi-automatic MKEs since like 2009, so nothing new there. Kind of sad about the whole POF thing. Eric, if the Daewoo's materialize, great. I'll be happy. But I'm not holding my breath. I'd rather just not get my hopes up. Johnski. Oh, yeah, why they canceled the STG? Because it's fucking stupid. The whole thing was fucking stupid. We're gonna make caliber converted barrels, and we're gonna make a tactical STG 44, and we gotta make all the parts from scratch. Yeah, yeah, we could do it for $1,500. Yeah, none of that's logical. Some reason, because I mean, their STG 44s, Jim, they bought it off HMG and they teased it forever. I mean, it's not a workable design. If you're gonna make a quality MP44, guess what? It's gonna be like a $4,000 gun, like the German guns, like the PTR 44s. ISD does them now, and that's just what it costs to really do it right. And you're not gonna sell a bunch. You've got to have a decent profit margin because yeah, guys aren't gonna buy that for the most part, and the only ones they're really going to sell are the historical ones. No one's going to buy an STG 44 that is half modern gun. Again, just stupid. Sierra. Yeah, exactly. It was just scatter. The only thing I could give allowance for was the caliber. Like if you wanted to do one not just an 8 millimeter curves, 760-39 or even 223, but I think 760-39 would actually be a good candidate because at least it's that same era cartridge. That change I can understand, and the same goes for taking AK Max. Like I would accept that for practical reasons, but other than that, nah. Yeah, they say all kinds of things. It was supposed to be this year, then it was Q1 of 26, now it's Q3 of 26. And notice the price keeps going up too. Funny that. Almost as if they really didn't have their ducks in a row when they flapped their lips 9 months ago, isn't it? Joe, did I ever stock up on 545 ammo? I've got some. I've been pretty selective about when I use it, but I've got some. GMC. Yep. It'd be cool if Beretta did a BM 59 again. They do it right. Hey, Chris. Not anymore. I mean, it's an ammo thing. Look at the cost of 45 Colt. I put probably about 60 rounds through it. It held up fine, no troubles. When Jay was out last time, I kind of saved my last full box of 45 for him to enjoy. I only bought, what did I buy? Like 5 boxes, six total. And, it's not inexpensive. So, yeah, it is what it is. I'll buy some more ammo eventually. Sierra. Oh, yeah. Well, aren't they that way now, though? I mean, think about all the stuff and they're like, oh, if the Colt part doesn't have the C or the cage code, it's not. No, just because a Colt part doesn't have a number doesn't mean it's automatically crap. It just means it doesn't have it. AR stuff is so trendy. Scott. Hill and Mac, yeah, that's not. Yeah. I'll be honest, the only reason I kept the Hill and Mac Set Me L, for one thing, is almost the only gun they actually ever made. And for another, it's just such a weird ass story. That's going to be one of those guns in years to come. People are going to be like, who's HMG? Well, Sonny, sit down and let me tell you a tale. I did keep one of the Marco Mar set me's too, the LC as it happens. So I've got one of each. Where is a good source for an SVD front sight block? That's a great question because with the HD 18s in the country, the originals just dried up. I only have the one on my gun now too. Of course, you've got your long flash hider bayonet style. Then there's the short flash hider, no bayonet style. When you look for one though, make sure you get one for 7.6254R because the barrel diameter is different versus the 7.62 NATO 308 version. So a flash hider unit meant for A 308 barrel will not properly fit a 54R barrel. Yeah, I know it sucks. 1312. Man, we're getting close on the retro parts thing. I mean, anything with a fixed carry handle is retro now, and it's kind of funny to think of A2s as retro, but we're getting there. I've seen people consider the detachable carry handle LE 6920 type guns retro. Oh yeah, the M4 chart. Ah well. Man, I enjoy clone building, but sometimes people get way too far. It's like I like original parts as much as the next guy, but I'm not paying $500 for like a mag catch just to go. Well, this has 6 rings and yours has 8. Fuck off. I mean, same thing goes with like AKs when people get way too much about their builds. Well, I got correct selector markings. Your gun's still a semi-auto, so what does it matter? Like there's a level. There's kind of a point where the juice is not worth the squeeze, in my opinion. And some of the very high AK builds are that way, and retros too, FALs too. You can just you can go too obsessive, in my opinion. And the reason I say that is it seems like it ceases being fun and becomes a chore. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe some of those old guys are just dead. I mean, of course, probably a lot of them fell out of guns. I've noticed a lot of guys that get hot and heavy into guns out of nowhere. They're kind of the people that fall in and out of hobbies every few years, and they usually move on to something else. I've had customers like that where they're perfectly good customers, but for 6 months or a year, they'll buy everything of whatever stripe, Swiss guns, AKs, whatever, and then one day I'll just never hear from them again. Like they'll buy 10 guns in a brief period of time, and then just poof, Scott. Yeah, pretty much the tism, man. And not just me, but my whole family is literally diagnosed with that. I mean, I have it. It's not a secret, I'm sure, to anyone. And I don't just mean like some weird like WebMD, no, like doctor diagnosed. No, whether I do much about it, shit, I just live. I mean, because you start doing that, everyone's got a thing. All having those mental disorders means is that you don't fit the norm. I don't want to fit the norm because then I'm not me. Like we act like being a little weird in the brain is a bad thing. I mean, if I didn't have it, I wouldn't get like literally a rush and like endorphins out of research. I love researching things, and I definitely am known for special interests as that happens. That's okay. I also have some versions of stimming, which just kind of part of it. But you can take it to the extreme of obsessiveness, and I've caught myself doing that too. And the best thing is just to step back and divert your brain, and then you'll realize, yeah, it's all good. Gunpowder nitro. Yeah, isn't that funny? I noticed that in the WBP video. I was like, oh, these builders won't do that parts, and I wanted to comment. And I wonder what parts they do recommend. Funny that. Yeah. I just think carry handle ARs are just the way AR should look. Like that's the ARs I grew up with. Even in the early 2000s, if you had a carry, a pick rail, it still came with the carry handle clamped onto it. But it's just kind of the look of the gun. Same thing goes for like the G36. Yeah, I know the pick rail version's probably more practical, but to me, the G36, you know the look it's supposed to have. Oh yeah, talking about AR guys, the just as good crowd. It's like, well, my Palmetto State's just as good as a Colt through an LMT. No, it's not. That's not to say your PSA is a bad gun, but no, no, it's not. Just realize you're buying economy, and that's okay. We all do. I mean, look at my Cimarron cowboy guns I've had fun with. Are they as good as originals? No, probably not. But I have fun with them. Have I ever done a video on Long Branch? Not as such. I've definitely shown their infields, C1, C1A1, that kind of thing, but never just like a straight thing. And the problem is, again, our access to stuff. Like we can't get a lot of that Canadian stuff down here, C7s and all that either. It sucks. I wish we could. That said, I did recently put out a video on the Ross rifle, not Long Ranch, but very, very Canadian. Junie. Yeah, I'm here. I'm actually just testing to see if I can make this live stream crash. Long story. Yeah, we've already talked about the Daewoo's quite a few times, even on this video, the one on last night. Uh, I'm not optimistic, but I'd love to be proven wrong. So yeah, I don't know who you're talking about. He's also a fucking idiot. GMC. Huh? I didn't. Yeah, it's here. Century Arms. They are trying their hardest to bring in a G3 rifle. It's difficult for reasons. It's hard to get a 308 7.62 barreled gun like over a certain inch. It gets into disapproval. So I can definitely say it's not for lack of trying, and they might succeed. I'm hoping at least maybe a G3K can come in. A full length 18-inch might be more than we can hope for, but yeah, I never thought we'd see a full length SIG SG 550 PE90, and we got those. So 1312. Uh, why did you have to reinstall the barrel on the Colt? I like Colts, but wow, that's interesting. Captain Quack. I like it. Oh yeah, when I first got my Archer, the only place to get accessories was finding some dude on Poland and send him some international money and hope he wouldn't get ripped off. Luckily, I didn't. So yeah, I bought parts directly from Poland. I mean, some of the Century FALs were fine. They really were. It just depends which one you got. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, Century's FALs were far from their worst products. They really weren't that bad. I found their set me builds to be much more sketchy. What recoil spring issue on the 53? I haven't really experienced one. Uh, I've sold one to Jay and one to another friend you don't know, and they've had no trouble. But you know, HK guys, for whatever reason, love swapping out springs. sometimes when they probably don't even have to. But I hadn't had any issues out of them. Now, if you mean the fact that they're fixed in the back, that's easily remedied. Very, very easily remedied. Chips, it's cool when it doesn't crash. I think how many minutes are we in, guys? We should be over an hour and a half now. Of course, I don't know if it's 100% analogous. It may not be a time thing. It could be a number of comments thing, but I can only stress test it so far. How the hell do you put a rifle length gas? Never mind. Are you sure your gun was strictly from Colt? Wow. Johnsky. Okay. Yeah, it wouldn't shock me. Century Arms had some very creative markings. Yeah, Miss of the doesn't sleep. Oh, Sierra. That's what my wife said too. Chips. Well, we've exceeded last time, so that's good. Again, I don't know if it's a strictly time duration thing or other things, but we'll get a few more minutes that I'm gonna head into. Yeah, those SIG 556s are out there. It's SIG USA dumped all that as quick as they could, but they are perfectly fine guns for what they were. Paid 14. Okay. Do I think we're getting any parts kits from Ukraine? No, not right now anyway. I mean, maybe in years to come, but we got to end the war first. Keep in mind, dude, we're almost 4 years going on. Um, we're not going to definitely get anything while the war is going on. 1312. No, don't shut up about cults. I'm just. That's odd. Hmm. Yeah. I mean, a rifle length gas tube shouldn't even fit. I mean, it could fit, but it would protrude so far. Yeah, the bolt. I understand that, like quality control. I bet there's got to be a story behind that because even if they didn't test fire it, they put in the chamber flag. Surely someone would have noticed that the bolt wasn't closing. Again, I ask questions like this because that's just weird. John, yeah, well, good morning now, but yeah, I'm like I said, I'm gonna put this through a few more minutes and then call it myself. I really didn't know if anyone was gonna show up. I just thought about leaving it running, but yeah, why not? Sarah RS. MKE did do 33Ks. Remember the old Zenith Z43s? They sold horribly. I never understood why that gun didn't work out on the market. People did not buy them. It was a cool gun though. Philly Finn 4. Philly Finn 4. My FB page? Oh, my GB, you probably meant. The new stuff's in. I got a couple of 550 PE90s, 751. Um, I'll be doing a video on the 563 soon. That's about it. Nothing really new coming in. The tariffs are killing us. Switzerland, 39% tariff right now. So Yeah. Okay. There you go. 1312. It was an upper there. Okay. Not a complete gun. And okay. Now, again, I knew there had to be at least more to that story. I miss Vector. I used to deal a lot with him. I was one of their kind of main distributors, and they did some special runs of V93s for me, and they did some really nice G3s with wood furniture. Yeah, when they made a gun, they can make a really nice one. Their Uzis too. Um, Again, one day I'll do a full video on why exactly Vector went out of business, but for legal reasons, I couldn't talk about it for a little while. Yeah, Sierra, you're not wrong. I think whatever happens after this war, Ukraine's not going to be in a position to just like give us stuff. I mean, best case for them, they'll just keep it for rainy day, but whatever peace negotiate, yeah, it's probably all going to get shredded. GMC cracker. Um, Turkey never made FALs. They had some FALs, but they were mostly just surplus German G1s, but they never made them. Again, guys, you got to remember each of these guns has to be approved by the U.S. Customs USATF. So far, they have not approved an 18-inch 308 gun. They just haven't. CPT quack. Yeah, I'll do it when I get a chance. Alrighty, guys. I'll give you a 5-minute warning. It seems more stable. We'll see. I just didn't want to get into a major stream and do that again, and it still might. Uh, it may just be one of those things that happens, but it was doing it every time. And I understand if you get to a stream where it's like 3 hours or ridiculous, but if I can't at least go up to 2 hours, then there's problems. So any last minute comments, or if anyone wants to pitch in a buck, like I said, I didn't really come on for that, but just wanted to see if my efforts to fix the computer, at least the camera working, means that I can not have to drag around a cheap webcam. Remember TV? I was just thinking this is that weird time of day when there would just be strange things on television. Haven't had TV in 15 years. Yeah, I'm gonna head in soon too. I don't have to be up or anything early today. I'll sleep until late. It's Sunday. It's kind of the day to chill. Did taxes this weekend and got some auctions listed last night. Got some video stuff done. Be heading back out to the cabin sometime into this week probably. Oh, the old Series 70s. I used to sell quite a few Colts. They made perfectly good, really duty grade 1911s. Not the most accurate, not the smoothest, but just a good, well-rounded, solid 1911. Hard to go wrong. And for a long time, they were priced very, very reasonable. I mean, the Kuna I've been testing's worked out very well. Shot it just this last weekend. They seem to be, of course, HS products. I think by now we can kind of trust the brand, and the gun isn't like super complicated or anything. But the one that they did that super impressed me was the VHS 2 because I refused to use the stupid US name. But that aside, I've been really impressed. It's not like replacing the AUG in my mind as best bullpup of all time, but it's a good runner up. Introduced the yeah, uh, the Tech 9. Yeah, the Tech 9. I'd buy a modern Tech 9. Why the hell not? Especially if they were priced fair, for what they should have been. Again, I grew up in the 80s. Tech 9s were cool. For some reason I really like the Beretta PMX. It it scratches the Tech 9 itch pretty good. Yeah, they had nice AKs. They really did. They had some good ones that were, Arsenal receivers sometimes, other companies, and then they had Bulgarian kits. No, they did good work. They really did. And they went through phases too, because it depended on which gunsmiths were working at the time. Obviously. Alrighty, guys. I gonna head now. Appreciate you hanging out this early morning, and maybe I fixed my computer issues. That'll probably get me a lot more likely to live stream. It was becoming such a frustration having to attach external peripherals and then it crashing all the dang time. Yeah, and then I was like, or I could just make videos or research for videos or cook dinner. I actually like cooking. Alrighty, guys. I'll try to hop on in a few days. I'm gonna take Sunday off, rest a bit. Monday I'll be usually my Mondays are all booked up, just packing stuff and shipping. And if you guys too, I reminded everyone last time, but if anyone can like share links to my videos and stuff on Facebook, Instagram, X or whatever, I can't do the social media thing, and I think I really need exposure on there. I think that could help. So sharing some videos because I've already made and uploaded probably 6 or 8 videos, and I've got another 6 or 8 in the can that need editing. So I've got quite a few things, but yeah, need to kind of get some better exposure out there. Ah, there we go. Someone has to come in and always comment on the camera thing, don't they? uh, wouldn't be a stream of mine if someone didn't say that. Later, guys.